Welcome into Extreme Radio, presented by GracePointe Healthcare. Go to GracePointeHealthcare.com. Request your appointment online. Mention your 8-Man Extreme. $20 off your new patient office visit fee. GracePointe Healthcare. Modern medicine the old-fashioned way. Sponsored by Jet's Pizza of Springfield, Fort Campbell, Clarksville, and Goodlettsville. Let's get Jets. Well, certainly none of us thought at this point we would be saying that the quarterfinals are not over. Thank you for that one, Producer Jack. Certainly we did not think that the quarterfinals would be in progress. Covering the show today, we talked about possibly delaying it till Tuesday, but you know, we're still here, keeping the schedule, other than moving back an hour later. First off, can everybody join me in a happy birthday? No one's going to join me on that. Okay, happy
That's
birthday.
because when it was Zach's birthday, Producer Jack hit some birthday music. Producer Jack, birthday music, please.
But he's cueing birthday music for himself.
I didn't say that was a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, how is that a problem?
Who's that against the rules? In my birthday book? Absolutely not.
No. I don't know whose birthday book you're using, but
Usually we post something on social media about this stuff, but we decided that it was going to be moved back an hour earlier because Producer Jack is...
Stop.
I could tell the copyright infringement is going to come in at any second.
Damn, son, where did you find this?
That's enough. All right.
Did you
that
swear
one was
on
a
air?
little rough. No, the song did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, where'd you find that?
Producer Jack 0 for 2.
What do you mean? I did good on the last one. I can't. To be fair, I don't have a headset on today, so I can't hear what I
That's fair.
played,
That's
so-
fair.
Well, but I'll accept
What?
the O.
It's your fault.
It is my fault.
I'm kidding.
It is my fault.
We have guests in
the
studio.
the
for
little
first time in a
the
while.
literal Bluetooth headphones I was going to bring, I did not bring them.
Well, I mean, not even that.
And because I'm working with 3 Gen Zs, none of them have wired earbuds.
Excuse me.
Gen Z, you heard me, sir.
I actually can't because I
no,
don't have
not
a
even
headset
that.
on.
Not even that. It's that we've got guests in studio.
No, we
Yeah, we
have.
do.
It's called I'm Playing Mr. Mom, as I always do. Yes,
First-
my children are in the studio. If you hear
Digression.
children's voices, one is watching Tots. The other is watching PJ Masks. Tots is actually a very interesting show concept. It's about the crane and the penguin that deliver babies to their parents, and it's the backstory of them.
But
It's I was very critical, and then I got to watching it with my daughter, and I was like, you know what? This actually kind of makes sense as a show. Like, who would have thought to talk about the crane or the pelican that brings the babies?
hey, it's the first time your kids are in studio as well. They don't know.
Not the first time, but it's definitely the quietest.
In studio for 2020.
Okay,
So,
that's fair. And it should be the only time.
yeah, because we're only going to because they're not coming down to Florida next
No.
week, and then 2 weeks from now is our final show. We're 2 weeks out from finishing.
Are we doing a show post championship?
Yeah, of course we are.
We haven't in the last couple years.
Well, that's because that's because last year. No, we did.
No.
Yes, we did. Because last year we did the show in Florida and closed it, and the state championship had already concluded. We did it prior to the national championship. 2018 we did it after the All-Star game and the national championship because it got moved up to Dayton. And then 2017 we did one post championship.
Why aren't we mentioning the other person that's in studio?
I was about to.
Well, fine, mention him.
Why are you dissuading the subject? I was saying we've done a show after the state
Because no
championship.
one wants to hear us bicker about this.
No, in other words, I'm right, and James. Incorrect.
Okay, since we're really going to get into this, I did not say state championship. I said we have not done a show post championship. I didn't qualify which championship.
Regardless, I
Okay.
think we should welcome back into the studio.
The
I
producer
was
Jack.
getting to it, man. But first
Oh,
off, happy
Producer
birthday,
Jack.
producer Jack
Thank you,
Helwig.
thank you.
Happy birthday, I guess.
Happy
you very much.
birthday, my friend. You,
Even though none of y'all told me happy birthday on air.
you know, this is the.
I
We
tried
weren't on
so
air.
hard.
We weren't on air when we had the show.
Why is it so hot in this room?
I'm very.
I don't know
uncomfortable.
how you're wearing that jacket. I am sweating
I'm
in this
very
room.
uncomfortable
It's not that
with
bad.
the energy created in the studio.
I'm very comfortable with the energy.
Of course you are. Anyways, happy birthday to Jack Elwig. That's the reason why we moved the show back an hour so he can have dinner with his family and not be rushing or late at anything. And
Especially late.
especially late. Late to your own birthday dinner. My siblings have done that a few times. But welcome back to the studio, Zachary Lone.
Thank you. Thank
How
you.
come I'm the only one clapping here?
You're not the only one.
Okay,
Jack's
there we go.
clapping the
There we go.
microphone.
Thank you.
Phone taps.
Thank you.
Producer Jack, try this cord because there's a little bit of static
That's
with
not
that cord.
it's not from that mic. It's from the laptop.
I'm saying it's from the cord. I'm wondering if the cord is jacked up.
All right,
I
BRB,
get
ladies
it.
and gentlemen.
Producer Jack, the cord is jacked up.
Yeah, funny joke.
Hey, listen, my dad joke powers are increased with having my children present, okay?
They stay the same consistent level. It's not a matter of increase. That's just to try and justify. That's trying to justify.
And I
your
did
usage.
justify it.
It wasn't.
We
a
are
good
completely off
justification.
topic.
We are. All right.
But I majorly digress.
So as I mentioned, the quarterfinals should be over at this point, but circumstances happen to where the game between Lighthouse and Ezel Harding has been delayed. And the contingency plan is for the game to happen on Monday, but they are waiting on some factors to come in to determine if they are going to have their game on Monday or not. And it's right now up in the air. So we still have not received a statement. As of this moment, we have not received an updated statement or updated status on it. If the game happens tomorrow night, we'll be on site for it. We'll be broadcasting it. If it doesn't happen tomorrow night, then we'll give an update on our social media about the situation
And how they will proceed.
Yep. But let's talk about the games that actually happened. So we'll start with the Alabama State Championship that we haven't really talked about them that much all year up until last week about Russell Christian and the teams in the CFA. Their state championship, one-sided. Russell got the victory against Cornerstone Christian, 41-6, and the other two schools that compete in that conference, James, they were playoff ineligible, which is the reason why Cornerstone Christian came in. And Cornerstone Christian, only 5 games on the year. So one of those situations where for Russell, they got the victory, they got another state championship. Wish we could see them in Florida. Wish they would go down to the NHSA, but they at least have another state championship under their belt.
Well, and they had a few of their games get canceled this year, so that's why they only had the 5. But and there's more teams than just those 4 in that conference. They've got like 9 or 10 teams, like a ton of teams. It's a conference that struggles, and that's why Russell, who got blown out by Ezekiel, was able to win the championship. Cornerstone, in only their 4th year as a program, got in Evangel Christian Montgomery and Jacksonville Christian, both in their first year in the conference, playoff ineligible. So due to probation year, which the conference up here has gotten rid of.
They still have the probation.
They still have it in
rule.
place.
It's just that for the most part, on that probationary basis,
it's not a blanket 1 year. It's like there's like a qualifier. Like if you get
have to
in
be at the scheduling
before a certain time. Like they have a blanket. To my knowledge, it's the ACAA, Alabama Christian Athletics Association, and then their football branch is the CFA, Christian Football Association. So they have a blanket rule, to my knowledge. But it was actually tied at 0 at the end of the first quarter. Russell pulled away in the second quarter. But Russell, who's been to Florida a couple of times, Christian Community beat them in 2017. They beat Russell for the title. Evangel has played them. Freedom has played them, I believe. Ezekiel. So Russell also one of those crazy situations where they're right across the border in Mississippi, so they're allowed to be in the Alabama Conference because of the proximity. Like they are right across the border.
It's just like Bowling Green with the TSIAA.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least in 2019.
Up until this point.
Yep.
And potentially with what's going on with the same with Legacy.
Yep.
Potentially. But yeah, that championship happened Friday night, so congrats to Russell Christian.
They got the victory, another state championship under their belts for Coach Braddock and company. And the other Alabama State Championship that was going on, Ezekiel Academy got the victory 62-12 against Lighthouse Homeschool in a matchup that was much closer in 2 weeks prior in the regular season with a 27-26 victory by Lighthouse Homeschool, and makes you wonder or makes you realize how paritable high school football is and how things can change on a dime. And for Ezekiel, even without their starting quarterback, they managed to get the victory. And for Lighthouse Homeschool, it's just more stuff for them to build off of.
Well, and to be fair, Ezekiel had 2 weeks to prepare for this game as opposed to their first meeting where quarterback got knocked out second drive And so they're scrambling the rest of the game to just try to find someone to take snaps and make plays happen. So they had time to prepare for this one. They had time to prepare for a funky formation that Lighthouse Homeschool uses. It's not an illegal formation that I'm seeing. Okay, you can run illegal plays out of it, which may or may not have happened, but they have the it's almost like the swinging gate formation. You have the center and the quarterback one-on-one in the shotgun. You have two flankers off the line of scrimmage, but inside next to the center. And then you have two guys on the outside on the line of scrimmage on either side. No one in the backfield other than the quarterback. So those two guys on the outside, the inside guys are ineligible receivers, and they cannot go downfield and block unless it's a run play or like a screen pass or something. And then the outside guys on that formation. But those guys that are inside off the line of scrimmage are eligible receivers. There's been a little mix-up about that. They are eligible receivers. They are eligible to block. They're eligible to do everything. So let's just get that out there. If you know anything about football, you know those guys are eligible. But, they just had more time to prepare, and Ezekiel's a better team, and that really, really makes Florida interesting, especially with them getting moved to the number one ranking.
Maybe the confusion there. Have Ronnie Perkins give him an educational seminar on that.
Well, and thankfully Lighthouse won't be in Florida, so we won't have to hear about the formation. Consistently.
Zachary and I smiling because we know exactly what you're talking about. Any words from you, Zachary, on that?
Did you get a chance to watch any of it?
I watched a lot.
Did you?
Of it, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Ezekiel just overpowered him. There wasn't really much
Yeah.
else about that game. And also, I'm pretty sure they weren't covered up either. Because if they're covered up, then they can't go out for a pass.
Who's that? The guys off the line?
Yes, the two guys closest to the center. I think if they're covered up, they aren't allowed to go out for a pass.
Well, no, because they're behind the line.
That's true.
They're not on the line of scrimmage. You can only be covered if you're on the line of scrimmage inside.
That's right. Yeah.
Inside the ends.
That's right.
Yeah. The two guys on the end are eligible. I thought it was funny, the post-game ceremony, the MC for the award ceremony, which actually was Ezekiel Academy's AD, I believe. He said something about, hey, it was kind of nice this year. Let's keep Evangel out of this. Because, for 10 years, Evangel's played in that championship game. They've played versus Ezekiel, Hope Christian. They've played about a whole bunch of teams in that state championship. And this is the first year they hadn't made it. And it was just kind of funny.
Yeah.
But Evangel does have to go to Florida and defend their national championship. I wouldn't expect anything else of them. I would hope they would go down and do it, and they're doing it.
Yeah, and I mean it's just like how Christian Community went to the national championship after losing the state championship in 2017, got the W there. It's kind of a situation like that,
but the only caveat is CCS wasn't the defending national champions.
Right. That's the only caveat.
So their reasoning for going was we had a good season and it was a close championship, and the actual champions won't go.
And congratulations to Ezekiel Academy on getting the state victory against Lighthouse Homeschool. They are set to go on their way to Panama City Beach to collide with team we'll talk about in just a little bit. And as we mentioned, Ezel Harding and Lighthouse, the situation on that is not official, and we will get an update on that as the situation goes along. But Zachary, your first game back, it was a slow one, a good way to ease you back into the broadcast booth as we go through the rest of the stretch of the postseason. 40-0, Lancaster Christian. The curse is over. The albatross hanging over the Lancaster Knights is over. They have gotten a victory at May Flanders Field, and they ousted the runner-up for the state champions last year. And from talking with Coach Flanders pregame, I think he mentioned he hates playing on Saturday, and he was kind of speaking my own language a little bit with athletic coaching as my minor, because in sports psychology you have so many people who are superstitious in different sports. You have so many people who have their patterns and everything. He talked about he clarified he wasn't trying to make any excuses, but with him having such a young team, he wanted to get his team as prepared as possible, or have them as in rhythm as possible for their routines, and he just couldn't get that done because of the game being moved to Saturday, and it just worked out that way because of the situations they had with not having practice for the last few weeks, having to cancel their game against Franklin Christian. So it, at least for Flanders and company, I mean, they took a blowout loss. There were circumstances to it, but only graduating 3 seniors.
Yeah, and going back to what Coach Flanders' point, most of the time when you practice and everything, and most of their games have been on Friday. So they go through their school day, and they have that routine. And then on Saturday, taking that routine away, some players actually sleep in too late, so they actually get a little fatigued a little quicker and stuff like that, or they don't get enough sleep because it's a Friday night and you're a high school kid, you go out and do stuff. And it's just different stuff like that. But they're in good shape. Poulin, at the end of the game, what they were doing with Poulin, that was actually – I really enjoyed watching that. He could be someone that they use next year as well to maybe the quarterback next year.
I mean, I'm trying to be positive because it is, to me, I'll just say this. I see other teams winning on Saturdays that also play games on Fridays. If you win the game and then you say, man, I don't like playing on Saturdays, even though we usually win on Saturdays because it throws a schedule off, that's one thing. But to lose and then say, oh, I don't like Saturdays because it throws a schedule off, I don't know. Again, I'm not a coach. I'm not a current player. All I can look at is from my perspective. But
Another thing is you have a young team.
Well, they also just went through a situation where they weren't able to practice for several days.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, blame it on that. Don't blame it on it being a Saturday game and a 7:30. Come on. Take the loss.
And what I will say is that Christian community in the last few years, they have played on Saturdays against the Tennessee Heat and some other teams, and they've still managed to get the win on the road. So that's a contrast.
Yeah, I mean, they've won games on Saturday.
That is true. So it's very, very interesting. James out to take however many kid breaks today, but two kid breaks at the moment. So.
That's what I'm saying. We're only at 2.
But let's go to Lancaster again. The Albatross is gone. They've gotten a victory at May Flanders Field, and with that occurrence and with them getting the job done, I mean, it's Lancaster, as you mentioned, they're looking dangerous going to Franklin Christian because a 14-6 victory for Franklin Christian to give them the number one seed in the South. That may be one of the more tightly contested games in the semis, depending on what happens with Ezel Harding and Lighthouse. But that contest, it's going to be pretty interesting to see with how Lancaster played on Saturday.
Definitely. Lancaster, they were clicking on all cylinders yesterday, except in the first quarter. In the first quarter, it was 0-0. But then that drive at the end of the half really took I don't know how to really gave them a little more confidence going up 16-0.
Mm-hmm.
And then come out the second half, and then the very first play of the second half is Horde running 70, 80 yards for the touchdown. They made the plays they had to last night. They were honestly the 10 times better team last night.
Horde, Bragg, Spurlock, the 3 key players for Lancaster, they showed up when they needed to. Especially Spurlock making several sacks on Poulin, several defensive stops there, and I'd be interested to see what the turnover margin was for both sides of the ball, because it seemed like both teams put themselves in situations where they could have easily capitalized on turning the ball over, but that just didn't happen. So I'd be interested to see what the turnover margin was, because a lot of opportunities.
Well, at the beginning of the game, the first quarter, Lancaster couldn't finish off drives. They'd get down in position to score, but they just wouldn't. They just weren't able to punch it in. So honestly, that really could have came back to bite them if they were playing Franklin Christian. So this week they're gonna have to look for that and try and limit and score those, punch those in every chance you get. Especially like we were talking earlier, how they had 3 drives inside the 10-yard line, just couldn't score. They're going to have to capitalize this week if they want to pull off the upset against Franklin Christian.
That's what they have to do, and in a rematch for what could have been the number 1 seed, number 1 or number 2 seed. It'll be interesting. But James, before we head on to the next game, your thoughts on how Lancaster got the job done?
Well, and I look at Deuce Bragg and the fact that in the last 2 games they've played, actually, he was okay against Cecil Harding. I'm looking specifically at the field goal attempt here for Carolina and Kansas City the moment.
This might be for 67 yard. This would be for NFL history, and
Nope.
it's wide right.
Wide right.
Wow.
But he had the leg for it.
He had the leg. He just had it wide right.
Look at my homie getting lucky.
Anyways, Lancaster.
Deuce Bragg against Providence, 60-yard run last night. Not afraid to use his feet. If I remember correctly, he used his feet some against Cecil Harding too, and so I think that's going to be one of the keys that Shaka Hill is going to have to keep an eye on. Is this young quarterback that he's played a couple times now has the confidence to get out of the pocket and run. He's not the same Deuce Bragg from the last 2 years that's had to sit back there and just sling it all over, and if that's not working, maybe hand it off, and if that's not working, oh well. This young man is willing to get up and move, and you know, that it's a different player. It's a different player. You mentioned Spurlock, Devin Hargrove, Jordan Horde. All these guys have stepped up. Even Albert Clark.
Oh yeah, freshman is.
I love Lancaster's kicker. Love him to death.
Harrington.
Yeah. You know, these kickers this year, I guess they forgot there's not nets behind the goal, and if they could stop bombing these balls, that'd be great. But anyways, yeah, I think Lancaster is a different team. They're a different team than the one that played CCS earlier this season. They're a different one that played FCA earlier this season as well.
This is with the addition of the 16 playoff, this is the second year in a row that the number 2 seed in the North has been defeated by the number 3 seed in the South. So interesting stat line there, and maybe it's time for a restructure.
To be fair, I have said all year that the South is much stronger than the North.
We said that all last year, too.
But I digress.
Lancaster's not your normal 3 seed.
No.
That's something else to
Riverside
think of.
wasn't a normal 3
They were
seed
this
last
close
year.
from being the 2 seed. And they were 6 points away from beating FCA and being the 1 seed. I mean, these three teams that are rolling into the playoffs for the South, they're buzzsaws.
Imagine if you had Riverside thrown in the mix as well.
Hey, Riverside would have been my dark horse, but South Haven is the only thing at this point stopping us from having a South-on-South state championship.
That is true. Well, congratulations to Lancaster Christian. They get the job done, and they travel to Franklin Christian for the semifinal playoffs. All right. Yes,
May I
James?
mention, too, Coach Bragg, if you hear this, or
And
if someone
bulletin
hears
board
this,
material.
if someone hears this, if you can relay this message to Coach Bragg, should this playoff run result in a ring, or y'all make any kind of T-shirts, maybe there's whatever, I will be expecting a cut due to my expertise of giving you bulletin board material and picking Christian community in this game. So just to let that be known. If Coach Bragg doesn't hear this, if you could relay that information to Coach Bragg, that would be greatly appreciated. But I digress.
I'm sure he appreciates that.
And I won't get to see him until
Champion. Well, we'll talk about it.
I don't want to spoil my pick.
We'll talk about it. Congratulations to Lancaster. Now, time to pull up the updated bracket for the Tennessee State Independent Athletic Association.
Do we have to?
We always do. As it stands right now, Lancaster Christian heads to Franklin Christian, and assuming that the game occurs Monday between Ezel Harding and the Lighthouse Christian School Lions, whoever wins that game will go to South Haven. But if the game does not occur, there is a possibility for a forfeit and team to head to Springfield this week for the semifinal contest. So that's what we're looking at. Both of the games currently are set for Friday at 7 p.m. Would love it if one of the teams moved their game to a Thursday, but likely not possible because they're at publicly rented fields. But if one team moved it to Thursday, that'd be great for us. But
Zach and Jack, let me pose this question to you guys.
Yes.
And Spencer, you can answer this as well, but with you two, I want to get your thoughts on this. Would you rather be South Haven, who has had to sit out for 3 weeks, 3 weeks, because you lost your last game of the season, you had a bye week, would you rather be South Haven, who has sat out for 3 weeks, or would you rather be Lighthouse or Ezel Harding, who has to play a game on Monday and turn around and play on Friday?
Go first, Jack.
South Haven.
With 3 weeks rest?
Yes.
That's fair.
Because even with 3 weeks rest, you're still preparing for that 3 weeks. Like, the whole go ahead and play a game, that's difficult, and that with the things that they have going on behind the scenes, plus going around and playing on Monday in a very difficult game on Friday.
Yeah.
If things play out how they play out, then that's a lot more difficult than the other way around for South Haven.
And honestly, whoever it is, Ezel or Lighthouse, I think they go into that game with South Haven, should it stay at Friday night, I think they go in that game just running and gunning. Just back to the basics, go out there, backyard, sling it around, have fun. Listen, we're not going to game plan. We're not, unless we played them before, we know what's going on. I think if it's Ezel Harding, it's going to turn into the Turkey Bowl, where they're just in the backyard going at it.
Which, go ahead, Zachary.
I want to be South Haven or Ezel. Yes, you get the game on that Monday, and you're going to be a little sore, but you have nothing to lose at this point. Cause then,
Who, Lighthouse?
Yeah, Lighthouse or Ezel.
Yeah.
Because in that case, they're like, well, you just played Monday, so you're not even supposed to be competitive.
It's a win-win. Like,
Yes.
if you're South Haven, for instance, and you win the game Friday night, if you win, it's, oh, well, you had 3 weeks to get ready, and these guys are coming off a short week. If you lose, it's, oh, these guys just played Monday night and turned around and beat you on Friday night, and you had 3 weeks rest.
It's a lose-lose
It's a lose-lose situation for them, and for FCA really as well, because with Lancaster coming in, it's, oh, these guys just played on Saturday, so they have one less day than they normally would have, and you had 3 weeks to, like, for both of these teams, it's a lose-lose situation, except for the fact of they get to advance to the semifinals, or no, the championship game.
But we should be putting respect on Lancaster and Ezel Harding and Lighthouse's names, to be honest, especially Lancaster because of the way they just came off their last game. South Haven has a lot more to lose versus FCA.
Yeah.
So.
And there's also a difference when you're playing in a blowout and then playing a normal game. If the game last night was close, it's different than playing it
That's
at 14-6.
That's
yes,
true.
Deuce played a lot of that game, but really, I mean, they're just out there having fun at the end of the game. Like, when you start subbing in your subs, you start relaxing a little. I mean, I feel like you recover quicker from games like this.
I actually don't know if I agree with you, Jack. I think FCA has more to lose because they have an undefeated 6-0 season, and they put that on the line, whereas South Haven already has a loss.
6-0, 6-0 undefeated regular season for Franklin Christian going into this point. South Haven with only their one
loss to FCA.
And that was when they were leading 18-0. That could have been a preview for the championship. Absolutely could have.
Except this will be a completely different South Haven team. If we get a South Haven FCA championship,
it's going to be it'll be a better state.
Crawley versus Shaka Hill.
On paper, that would be a better state championship than we've seen in 2018 and 2019.
Oh, hands down.
I think,
on paper, but it has the potential.
even if you put Lancaster in with South Haven, I mean, really, the FCA Lancaster game, really, no matter what, you're having a good opponent going up against South Haven. If South Haven is to advance to the championship game, I mean, you have two really good matchups.
You got anything, Jack?
I'm just going to put it this way. I know Lancaster came out really strong, but I really don't think they have the weapons, and I don't think they have the capability to go against South Haven. South Haven is, excuse me for being joking around and being funny here, but they're a different breed. South Haven they don't have a weak point on their team. Lancasters look really good, and they could definitely prove me wrong. Not going to say that they don't have any type of chance whatsoever, but I think South Haven's just top dog right now.
Do you think...
Good news, that was not a bathroom break, by the way.
So
Still two.
So for South Haven for South Haven, they play on a 40 width field. Lancaster most of the season they don't play on a 40 width field. FCA plays on a 50 by 100 field. Whoever goes to the championship, they're on a 40 by 80 at.
Does South Haven play on a 40?
Pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they played at a 50.
MLK Park. I'm pretty sure it's the 40 width.
40.
I thought it was the 50.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
But
it doesn't matter because South Haven's used to playing on a 52, so it's.
They do have to play on that 40 width next year, though. That is per conference rules. Everyone has to play on a 40.
That's what we're told now.
Yep. They said you have 18 months to adjust, and that's why Ezel Harding adjusted the measurements on their field. So, but the state championship is going to be on a 40 by 80. That might change some offensive and defensive schemes heavily going into next.
Seems like it didn't affect Lancaster too much last night, though.
Although they
Most
were
of the time, the majority of the time.
0-3 going in though.
True.
At Mary Flanders Fields.
To be fair, different CCS teams.
Yep.
But you mentioned that if we get a South Haven FCA, best championship we've had in a while. Really, if you want to look at it on paper, going back to 2017, South Haven CCS was not supposed to be that good of a game. CCS had smoked South Haven earlier that season.
That is true.
Shouldn't have been that good. Now, Webb Sacred Heart, yes. That was Wes Watson, Evan Ashlock. Yeah. Both those teams stacked.
On paper, 2018 was supposed to be good as well. Undefeated team in
Webb
and CCS.
It was supposed to be a great game, and it was
since
just
2018.
hot garbage game.
Based on the results so far, it has the potential to be the best championship we've seen in 3 years.
In a while, yeah. I would say the only championship on that level would have been FCA CCS 2015.
Yep.
Or Lighthouse FCA 2014.
And that's your view of the TSIAA bracket and official update. We have gotten official confirmation the Division II championship will occur at 2 p.m. on November 21st prior to the Division I championship.
Talk about teams sitting for 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
I mentioned it. I mentioned it when I sent out that information. I have to send it out again to give it official. It's confirmed, but the date I officially gave was, let's scroll here.
Should have been November 21st.
29 days of rest between the last games of Riverside and Franklin Classical and the Division II championship. 30 days rest.
No, more for Classical. Because
Oh,
Riverside played that last week of the season.
Who did they collide with?
Providence.
That's right. 29 days of rest.
Classical's game against South Haven got canceled.
You take off 7 days, so probably about 27
36 days for Classical. 29 for Riverside.
Yeah. So basically a month's rest for all.
Can we just make the Division II championship a basketball game?
I mean,
I'd be down.
To be fair.
Give them both 4 weeks of 4 weeks of practice. Just let them go play a basketball game. I mean, come on, or flag football.
Who's your starting point guard though?
I gave
for who?
For Riverside.
For Riverside, Crutcher, hands down.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I wanted to ask. All right.
It's like I said prior to the season. You're giving an unfair advantage to the teams that are going in because they have an extra amount of rest compared to Division I. And at the end of the day, someone gets to call themselves a state champion because of the way it's set up. And interesting thing here. So in high school ice hockey, another sport thing, they actually have the system figured out because they have for the state championship the better teams, but they have the lower situation of what's their Division II. They call it a bowl series. They call it a bowl series instead of a Division II state championship.
It used to be the MTAC Bowl, and then they got rid of that, and they got rid of the consolation game, and then they brought back a Division II championship. I guess I wouldn't be as ho-hum about this game if it hadn't have been such a one-sided game earlier this year when they played.
Right.
And if it was two teams that hadn't played in the same division.
Right.
Maybe I'd be a little more, energetic for it. I like, except for getting to see the players and see them perform, the concept of this game I'm very ho-hum about.
Yep. Same here. And I mean,
I'll say it right now. I love Crutcher. I love Hubbard. I love Raymond. I love Josh Salstrin. There's guys on this Jake Rubelski, Clay Lott.
Raymond Hunt.
I already mentioned him. There's guys on this roster Eli Cornett. There's guys on this roster that I absolutely love watching. These guys played in the All-Star game. I got to know them on a personal level. I'm not against you guys playing a game. I'm against the concept of the game happening.
No, same here. They could do a pickup game like they did, like some teams have done in years prior, like when Pleasant View and Hendersonville Christian picked up the game in 2017. But it wasn't for something that they could call themselves state champions.
Can they play a football game? Can we have a soccer game? In full pads?
Sure.
Bro.
That'd be
a soccer game in full football pads with helmets and everything. I'm here for it.
And
Does that mean they get to collide with each other then?
No, not rugby.
Not rugby.
Soccer.
No,
And
soccer.
then your officials for the game would be Spencer Thompset, James Shant.
Wow. I mean,
That
I
would
know
be-
I
that would
played
be
soccer,
something.
but I don't know the rules that in depth.
Hey,
Is that 'cause you rode- is that 'cause you rode the bench?
We can make
I'm
up
a
the rules.
grade
I was
7.
starter my senior
That's
year.
true.
I'm a grade 7 soccer referee, so I'm eligible to ref low soccer leagues. Low soccer
Kickball.
college.
Kickball. A kickball Division II.
Yes. Yes.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
TSIAA, listen to us. Division 2.
Listen,
no football, just
this
kickball.
football game, no, it needs to be kickball.
We do have to set a rule, though. What happens when you strike out in kickball? Because
Strike
you're
out.
the.
How do you-
Someone has to go
Let's
to the
really
sideline
make it
and
interesting.
break
If
your
you
leg.
strike out, you're out of the game, and then
Honestly,
as
Yes.
each player strikes out, the roster gets smaller and
No, no,
smaller.
no.
Honestly, in
no.
kickball, if you run up and you miss completely,
That's what
whiff,
I'm saying.
that's not a strike one. You're gone.
Wait,
They roll that ball so slow. If you miss it,
hear me out. Hear me
It's
out.
the
Okay,
singer.
Producer Jack.
Hear me out. A 5-round dodgeball game.
no, that's already happens though in the NFL.
Yeah, they do the Pro
Pro
Bowl
Bowl.
skills showdown. They do
That's
that.
what I'm
Ooh,
saying. That's what I'm
cool.
saying. But like,
Ooh,
bro,
I'm
you-
liking this.
Bro, so like winner, so it'll go down to like whoever wins 3 series.
Even better. How about a best of 3? Kickball, dodgeball, and a
Soccer.
40-yard
Ballet.
relay. No, 40-yard relay with the entire roster back and forth.
Whoever can beat Jack Helwig in that 40-yard relay wins.
No, it's a relay between a Riverside and Classical.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to let Producer Jack run the entire thing, that's fine. But
I mean, I'm down taking a Division II championship any day of the month.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't get any championships in my day. I'd be happy to get one.
oh,
Again, the,
and we say all these out of jest, and they still sound like better ideas.
Yep, 100%. Hope the 100%. I just hope that whoever wins that game doesn't call themselves a state champion.
quarterback has to wear a blindfold.
because they're because in
Bro.
my
Ooh,
opinion.
bruh.
Yes.
We're really just on it.
Again, you're
How
right.
about they swap the linemen with the receivers?
yeah,
Again.
set
All your defensive linemen have to go play corner now and bring your corners in to be
Bring
defensive
them
linemen.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Oh, that'll be
that
Wow.
would actually be very entertaining.
Jeez. Again, I'm in the same
Or
boat
they could
with-
just run that illegal formation that Lighthouse runs.
Facts.
Again, I'm in the same boat with you, James, where I'm just in the same boat with you. I just don't want a school calling themselves a state champion.
It's
after
yeah,
that game.
it's
I
just
because it's not a state champion. It's a bowl champion. It's not. You didn't win the state. You were the best of the worst. And
I don't
that-
even care if they say Division II champion. Fine, whatever. Do not call yourself a state. I even think in terms of Division I, they should not call themselves a state champion. It should be conference champion. Because here's the thing: you have other 8-man teams in this state that no matter who, if it's South Haven, FCA, Lancaster, whoever, they have not played the other 8-man team in this state who was going to the national tournament in Florida this weekend.
Yep.
You cannot call yourself a state champion without having played and beaten or have a better record than every 8-man team in this state. You cannot do it. And if they finish the state championship or the conference championship game, see, I don't even call it state. If they finish the conference championship, I would like to see, especially if they win nationals, whoever the conference champion is versus the Tennessee Heat on Thanksgiving Day.
so would you say that on
Thanksgiving Day,
good luck with it.
noon
Okay.
kickoff.
Do you think Ezel Harding can call themselves a state champion from 2019 then? Would you say?
Yeah, because
that?
they beat the Heat earlier in their season.
Yes.
Well, we could actually have that game kick off at 2:30 and take place and have the Fox crew come down and do that instead of the football team versus Cowboys. Nobody's watching that anyways.
Cowboys. and
What
the
do you mean no
football
one's
team.
watching it? It's Thanksgiving. People are gonna watch all
We're
the
making
football
food
games.
at that time. At that time, everyone like the food's. About
Who
to
is
That's
still
the game.
eating Thanksgiving at 2:30 in the
Yeah,
afternoon?
No, I'm still making food.
It's
At
called
2:30.
usually-
Thanksgiving dinner.
That's where they put the games.
in
that
the South, you call lunch dinner.
What?
What time do you eat Thanksgiving dinner? What time?
I eat Thanksgiving lunch at 12.
And then, so like you get all your turkey and everything ready at like.
And then that way you eat leftovers for supper.
That's terrible. I usually no. Listen, hear me out. Because we can.
He's from Ohio though, so you.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you're probably already listening to Christmas music.
You better not be.
No,
You better not be.
I'm
His
not
third
no.
break official.
I'm sure that Carrie Underwood's new Christmas album is great, but I'm not listening to it until November 29th.
His third official.
Third.
Yep, third break with his kiddo. Okay, well, you can take the
Third
bracket
bathroom
off
break.
the screen. You can take the bracket off of the screen if it's not already off. But that's the bracket. That's the situation. Division II championship. I am doing my commencement ceremonies for MTSU that day because they moved it back due to coronavirus. So I will not be on site at White House until about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. So yeah, that's how it works out. That's how it all works out. So that's what we're looking at on the bracket. We'll give you an update on Ezel Harding and Lighthouse as we get information. But right now it is still up in the air as they're waiting for.
Are you saying me and producer Jack get to call a game?
Yes. Yeah, you and producer
Producer
Jack. will call a
Jack.
game.
Yes.
Zach may either do
My
PC
guy.
work.
My
or
guy.
He may just loiter around.
My guy.
What's poppin'?
What do you plan to do
What's
during the
poppin'?
D2 championship?
I'll probably just watch,
Fair enough.
or I'll stick around and bug them. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe you could have the
It might be a late night with the championship game. You might as well take a nap.
or you could have the tablet on the sideline if they'll do instant replay. If they'll use it. I don't
Probably
know if
not.
they will.
Probably not.
I
Probably
could be
not.
playing Candy Crush on the tablet on the sideline.
I mean, it has that capability, but
The referee's looking. All right, can I get the play? Ooh, what level are you on? Hey,
I'm not
move
gonna
here,
say
move
it.
here, move here. I got you.
he's just, it's either that or he's got the tablet looks over. Clash of Clans, my man.
Put your archers here, bro. I'm telling.
Oh goodness.
So,
All right.
I'm getting ready for my favorite time. of the show.
no.
Oh, James is back.
Who wants to play Clash of Clans when you can play Rocket League?
On a tablet?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's right. They have the smartphone
Yeah.
for the tablets.
Rocket League.
I don't know if that
Are
tablet
we
is capable of it.
are we bulling with Rocket League
I love Rocket
in
League.
Florida?
I'm
Yes.
not good at it, but I love it.
Do you guys have Xbox One controllers?
No.
I do.
Okay, bring your controllers. We'll go.
Okay.
Best
go
of luck
for
to you guys on that. Okay.
You
know-
should join, dude. It's fun. It's a lot of
I've
fun.
played Rocket League. I haven't played it with a controller though. This one, what in the world
That's
are
Rocket
you?
League.
Oh, it's Rocket League.
Hey,
We're
Hey,
gonna get
hey,
copyright
hey.
infringement on the show.
not if I don't play for longer than 10 seconds.
No,
Producer
it's
Jack is on
5.
top of it.
It's 5.
Oh,
Anyway.
looks like someone doesn't know the copyright.
Can we get like?
You need to
Wait,
take
this
media
means
law.
this means we can get like sound effects and stuff, like during the show, like
Yeah.
wah, wah, wah.
No, don't give him any ideas. No. Next
Although he can't hear it.
James will demand a soundboard now for the future, where he just has a thing where he plays. But I digress.
I'm off topic, but I digress.
He just plays the sound effect. Okay, that's the bracket. You know what time it is? It's time for the birthday boy himself. Let's go.
Ooh, lady. Oh, all y'all take off your headsets. Am I that
I'm
loud?
fine. Well, we're preparing for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the sound off. All right, cool. So I'm gonna make it thing simple, sweet, because I want to get out of here personally. Going back to our game on Saturday. Wow, I'm not used to covering games on Saturday because I'm usually working.
Mhm.
So, as we all know,
Yeah, I know.
brother.
He's in sound off. Turn his sound off.
What, I don't even know what line he's on to be
Here,
honest.
I got you.
So while I have
That doesn't
somebody
do
just turned
That
my
doesn't turn it down.
you just turned my amp up. So while I still have volume because producer Jack doesn't know how to turn my mic off.
He got it. All right, sound off. Let's go.
So, we all rooted for CCS. We all thought they were going to go, except Zachary, who picked Lancaster and picked the streak to end. And congrats to Zachary, who had full faith.
Thank you.
We'd like to give a shout-out to James for bulletin board material for Lancaster, which got them the shutout win. But I honestly, the whole thing with CCS, I mean, they're a young team. What really shocked me, and I think the main reason they lost, is because they strove away from their game plan really early in the game. It was 0-0 in the first quarter, and they maybe ran the ball a total of like 5-6 times, I believe. They really didn't run the ball. There was a lot of deep shots that first quarter, and a lot of passing, a lot of play action, rollouts, all kinds of. And I was wondering, I was like, why are they trying to pass so much when the score is 0-0? And then they forced 2 turnovers by Lancaster. Deuce Bragg could have scored twice, and then they got 2 easy stops.
To be fair,
I was saying, let him speak, because you guys were like, wait a minute, I got something.
No,
It's his
I
sound
was
off.
I was chilling.
I was pointing to him because he wanted to say
Oh,
Zach
bad.
wanted to say something.
It's his first day back in the studio.
He's interrupting me on air. Now he's interrupting Jack during his
to
segment.
be fair,
I'm just messing.
and Lancaster was putting 6-7 people in the box. So they
If you're going to be devil's advocate, you better put your horns on right here the whole time you talk.
I'm just saying, like,
No,
but
invalid.
And then in the second half, so if that was their game plan to take shots, in the second half they went away from that game plan as well.
Yeah. James, do you have something to say?
He's telling.
No, if
Zachary
he's going to be
put on the
devil's
horns.
advocate, you got to wear the horns.
He's gotta put
Well, I mean, like, you were kind of giving me a look or whatever.
No, I thought of something else once you were done with sound off.
Oh, okay, I got you. But I don't know. Maybe y'all can agree with me or whatever, but I think they strove away from their game plan too early in the game whenever the game was still anybody's game to decide. And then Lancaster just took it. And also they had turnover problems early in the game. There was 3 fumbles that, Lancaster took advantage of. They couldn't capitalize on turnovers. I think CCS with the young team and they didn't have that much experience, it was bound to happen, honestly. I mean, we kind of live in the tradition. We discuss the psychology. Like, there's something about that field that's in their head, and that's why we kind of lean towards CCS, the coaching. But Lancaster just came forward. They came to that field. They dominated. Deuce got his first away playoff game win in his career, which is – and also their defense played. They played a full 48 minutes. That Lancaster team, they did not stop that entire game. They went – they strove – or they struck – they played complete. And honestly, with that momentum going forward, playing FCA, it's going to be interesting to see. But for CCS, all I have to say is you're a young team. It's good to get that playoff experience under your belt. There's things that you could have done better, obviously, but I don't think you guys played bad. I think Lancaster just played really good all across the board on offense, defense, special teams. They just came to play, and that you guys couldn't keep up with what they were dishing out.
You said
I
you had
agree.
something after.
That's it?
And that is off of the sound off. Thank you guys for watching, and go ahead.
Listening.
Did we recap the other trophy that came back to Tennessee Friday night?
No, we did not. Independence Bowl.
Whoop.
I didn't have that score on there because part of me likes to look at the Tennessee High School Football app, but you didn't update the score from the semifinal or the quarterfinal on the Tennessee High School Football app. So that's why I didn't check it because there was only one score. But 43-38, a close game
It was a
between
really good
the
game.
Tennessee Heat and Freedom Cowboys. We thought about going down there, but it just didn't work logistics-wise. But it's Tennessee Heat. They're bringing back the Independence Bowl trophy to Mount Juliet, and there's kudos to the Tennessee Heat for being 1-1 in Alabama for 8-man football this season. You got anything, James? Other than the golf clap, anything?
No, I mean, it was a great game. All the guys showed up. They actually pulled away quite a bit, and Freedom was able to get back into it. But, it was good for the Tennessee Heat after not having played for 3 weeks. It was great for them to get a game under their belt before going to Florida.
Yep.
And that way they're not sitting on their butts for a month before going and playing some of the best teams, at least in the region.
Yep.
Let me address something, too, about this national tournament. Okay. A lot of people like to criticize, it's not really a national champion because it's not teams from across the country. I happen to have insider information that Mr. Hank St. Dennis, organizing this, tries to get teams outside of Alabama and Tennessee, and no one will come. So no. Out of the teams who are willing to come, the winner is the national champion.
Fair enough.
There you go.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair
If
enough.
you won't come to the tournament, you don't get to say, well, they're not really. No, you had a shot. You could have gone and played for it, and you didn't.
Any thoughts on the Independence Bowl, Zachary?
I mean, like
Just
Tough
one
year for
word.
the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Tough year for the
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Yeah.
They are very young.
like when we saw them multiple times, they got better. The 2 games that we saw them, yes, they got blown out by Ezekiel the second game, but I mean, they got better from game to game. And next year they'll probably be really good. Just like they had a season kind of like CCS did, a really young team just trying to get some experience under their belt. Probably weren't going to compete for a championship this year, anyways, and then just trying to get ready for next year.
And congratulations again to the Tennessee Heat on their only losses being to Evangel in the regular season and to the Webb School, 1 in 8-man and 1 in 11-man football. But undefeated in state in 8-man football. Best record for the Tennessee Heat.
That's why I'm saying you can't call yourself the state champion unless you play the undefeated 8-man team in the state.
That'd be a good matchup. That'd be really.
I mean, can you imagine an FCA Heat game
That would be.
or a
incredible.
South Haven Heat game
Oh yeah, that'd be incredible.
or a Lancaster Heat? I mean,
Any of those teams. Any of those teams.
or Ezo Harding.
Yeah.
They had a great game earlier this year.
Yep. Well, that gets us into the preview segment where we get into the rest of the games going on. So we will preview the semifinal between Lancaster and Franklin Christian. Obviously, we can't preview the semifinal between South Haven and such.
We previewed it last week.
No, I'm saying we can't preview the South Haven semi because we don't know who they're facing.
We already previewed Lancaster Ezo Harding last week.
I said Lancaster FCA.
It's the Lighthouse and right.
That's what I'm saying. Lighthouse and Ezel, we previewed it last week.
That's what I said.
I had a brain sneeze. Okay?
Bless you.
Fair enough.
Do you know what a brain sneeze is?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like when you hit your head on the wall and you're out for a month.
Very similar.
Self-roast.
Very similar.
No. Have you guys never watched Duck Dynasty?
Some.
Man, you
Sigh.
are Southern.
Sigh. A brain sneeze is when your brain needs to sneeze, but it can't because it's brain, so it just hurts.
Man, you are Southern. I'm not saying that is a bad thing, but it's just you watch Duck Dynasty. You call Thanksgiving dinner lunch.
No, I'm
You use
country.
y'all
I'm
on
not
social
Southern.
media.
Southern still goes to nice, fine dining establishments. I'm country.
Oh my God.
Hence,
Sound as
Southern
redneck as
Belle.
you can get,
Southern
baby.
gentleman.
Do your rock paper scissors, gentlemen, and tell who predicts the games first.
Every time, Jack. I defer.
All right. James, so Lancaster, a 40-0 shutout. A 40-0 shutout over the Christian Community School. Colts.
Gentlemen. Breaking news.
Officially?
Okay, go. Breaking
Number
news.
4.
Okay. We have a statement.
Official statement. Ezo Harding Christian School will unfortunately have to forfeit our playoff game versus Lighthouse Christian as a precaution to COVID. We are thankful for the opportunity to have played our regular season games and are blessed to have had the experiences we have had this season. Thank you to our seniors and their leadership through adversity this season. We wish the best to all the teams moving on in the playoffs and look forward to making a run next season. The defending state champions will not be able to defend their championship.
Well, good
They
job.
will
South
have
Haven.
to.
We'll see you in the
If this
championship.
was WWE, they would have to relinquish their championship.
That's tough.
That's tough.
So before we get into the previews, let me just say, what a struggle season for Ezel Harding that they rallied back in the
I hate
latter
this
half.
because I said I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You're
I
good.
hate this because I said if Jamari Liddell was healthy, they could potentially defend their championship
Yeah,
in the championship game.
they could, and that yeah, that's really tough, and more importantly, at least from a personal standpoint, I mean, it's the year 2020. 2020 has been an unpredictable year and everything, but my heart at least goes out towards those
That's
seniors, to the seniors who cannot defend their state title in the same season because of the circumstances.
that's where it hits different.
Yeah, especially for the seniors, it's tough in that regard. It's tough. So obviously the tournament bracket on ours was out of date, and now it is the South Haven Patriots. They will host their rivals in the Lighthouse Christian School Lions on Friday night. So we'll start with the Lancaster and Franklin Christian. James, I know you're sending a response to who gave us a statement there and everything, as that's breaking news. And let's start out. So Lancaster, 40-0 sweep of the Christian Community Colts, the runners-up in the state champion. So now we know this year the state championship will have two different opponents, and Christian Community won't be in the state championship for the first time since 2016.
Yeah.
So Lancaster, Franklin Christian, that game was 14-6 earlier in the year. So Mr. Shannon, your week-to-week prediction. I don't know what the record is with you and Thompson right now as it's going into the playoffs, but
So I would say this game doesn't really count
which,
because the Lighthouse Ezo Harding.
I'm talking about Lancaster, Franklin Christian. That's the one you're predicting first.
Yeah, but you're talking about the record.
Well,
So during the postseason, didn't he take the Cowboys?
I don't know. You did? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's in the chat right now. Who knows? You see,
I don't
it's
think so.
Producer Jack, is he?
Okay, so let's talk about this game. All right.
All right. So Lancaster, Franklin Christian. What do you got?
This is not the same Lancaster. I said before. I said it again. This is not the same Lancaster team that played FCA earlier this season. Okay, Deuce Bragg is firing on all cylinders. His guys around him have stepped up. Lane Spurlock, Devin Hargrove, Jordan Horde. These guys that have had to be the leaders have been the leaders. Okay. This team hits different. FCA is... What is our problem?
Oh, the kiddo talking about something.
That's not a problem. You have 10 feet of cord. Put your headphones on. Look, Daddy's got his headphones on.
Your kids are adorable. I'm just saying.
The look of shade.
As you say from the outside. Not being a father.
Continue.
But I digress. FCA has had 3 weeks of rest going into this game. Okay. And they had a game get canceled earlier this season. Okay. So, all that being said, I think FCA gets in touch with Ezel Harding, finds out what they did to shut down the Knights, and I think FCA moves on to the state championship game.
For the first time since 2015.
I do think it will be close. Extremely close.
No pun intended.
Pardon the pun.
Zachary.
But
Does Jack want to go first?
I am picking all this talk about me being anti-FCA, which I'm not. I'm picking the Falcons to go to the state championship.
Zachary,
Zachary.
please stop squeaking your chair. I'm trying to get your attention,
Sorry.
and I'm sorry I have to do it this way.
So you squeaked the chair. All right, which one of you is going
You can
first
go
in this
first.
prediction?
All right, thank you. I'm going to take FCA. I think undefeated season speaks for itself. I think Lancaster had a really good game, and I think they broke the streak, but I don't think they can. I don't think they can get that far, and I don't think they can play against that FCA defense. I think FCA could have beat the Colts. I think FCA could have beat Lancaster. I think FCA could have beat Ezel Harding, and I think they could have beat. I think it could have beat anybody. So that
was
they
fast.
would have played against. So
I got to get the news out as soon as it comes in. It comes in. His phone vibrating because.
All right, so I've got FCA. You've got FCA.
Zachary.
Zachary.
Zach.
Okay, so here's the thing. When they played earlier in the year, what was the thing that Lancaster couldn't do?
Well, they couldn't score.
They couldn't finish off drives.
That's true.
And what they did they came out slow last night again, and they can't do that this week because FCA is such a strong and well put together team that if they come out slow, they may not be able to recover from the slow start. But what I saw through the second and third quarter of what Lancaster did to CCS, they just completely dominated. Well, and really took the will from CCS, and that's hard to do, especially when you have a team coached by like Coach Flanders, a coach that's that good and knows how to motivate his team, just to take their will from them. I mean, that was really interesting to watch last night. So I am going to go. I think rest hurts FCA, and I think Lancaster wins. I think they go to championship.
All right, you picked Lancaster once. Maybe you have the touch of luck, and I need to give them the bulletin board material.
That's
But this
probably
isn't
it.
bulletin board material, though. I fully believe that FCA will win this game.
I think it's going to be really close.
I'm not
No,
picking
it's gonna be
FCA.
close.
I'm not picking FCA to benefit Lancaster. I'm picking FCA because they're the better team.
I will say this. I don't do predictions, but it is going to be a close game, just like it was in the regular season.
Do you think it goes
14-6.
overtime?
It's very possible.
FCA.
Good thing.
We have not seen. When was the last time we saw an overtime playoff game in MTech TSIAA?
It would have been
Because I know Swanee Heat
2013.
playoff game.
Let me look it up. It would have been 2013.
FCA plays on 40 by 80, right?
FCA?
Yes.
No, they got a 50 by.
They got 50 by 100.
I'm pretty sure they
That
do.
even benefits Lancaster
Mm-hmm.
because of the how spread out their offense is.
It just didn't benefit them earlier this season.
I mean, but now
didn't
Deuce is
benefit.
almost 100%.
And again, one of the points that somebody gave to me is that Lancaster was inside of the 20-yard line about 5 or 6 times in that game against Franklin Christian, and they just didn't capitalize. Now that they have a few more games under their belt, that could be the difference maker, is who performs well in the red zone.
Guess who is at 100% there, Zach?
Who?
Zach Dooley.
That's true. I mean,
Dooley versus Bragg is going to be interesting. And that Shaka Hill led defense versus Deuce Bragg is going to be even more of a spectacle.
St. Andrew Swanee, Aaron Academy, 2013 playoffs.
So it's been 7 years since we've seen an overtime playoff game. We might see another one. Who knows? But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So now we head to the other playoff game. As we said, it was just finalized. It was just finalized. South Haven will host the Lighthouse Christian School Lions in a playoff game where both teams have a little bit more rest. I mean, South Haven more than Lighthouse, because Lighthouse played that game against Bowling Green, and it can go one way or the other. But James, you and I called that game between Lighthouse and Bowling Green. They have the momentum going into the playoffs, and of course, Kobe Sweat winning Extreme Player of the Week. It's this matchup. I mean, you mentioned Lighthouse might be the dark horse, but at the end of the day, kind of make a prediction.
Yeah, and I'm not going to vary from it. Ever since that first game of the season, everyone's always asked me, who do you have in the championship? I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, your kid,
What's up?
Your kiddo's asking for you again.
3 shows? Well, you can only watch one. That's how life works. It's unfair sometimes. Like it's going to be unfair for Lighthouse when South Haven wins Friday night.
All right, you're taking the
Taking
Patriots.
I'm right
Patriots.
behind you, and I'm going to take South Haven. I had the dark horse, and I think that they could do some work, and I think they might do some trickery because, they're not even supposed to be there in the first place, just because of unfortunate events from Visa Harding's part. But I got to take South Haven because they're a more complete team.
All right, Zachary.
I mean, Lighthouse.
Don't lie to yourself. just
Are you going to be the
I'm
ultimate
sorry.
contrarian here?
Lighthouse has had a good season up to this point. Being able to make the playoffs.
Lancaster.
No, okay, so the Lighthouse has done a great job so far this year. Like they have a chance to make this interesting, but I just don't see a way that they beat South Haven this week. I think South Haven has a complete team. Great offense, great defense. I mean, special teams is up to par with everyone, so I'm going to South Haven.
Here's what.
So you think South Haven Lancaster Championship. You two think South Haven Franklin Christian Championship. That's what you're predicting.
Well, first off, I'm sad that we don't get a first-ever matchup between Easel Harding and South Haven.
It's unfortunate.
But we could have a first-ever matchup, South Haven and Lancaster. Won't happen, but I digress. Here's what Lighthouse needs Friday night to win this game. Okay? It's not scheme. It's not execution. It's Christian Sharp making a John Cena return in a Royal Rumble at Madison Square Garden, walking in and going, yeah, I'm back.
The question
That's what
is,
they need.
will he be healthy enough for this Friday? I know he was out. That's
I know he's been out all season.
Yeah.
The question is,
Can he play?
could he play Friday night? I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know what his timetable's looking like.
That would change the game.
Could he step in?
That is true.
Because that takes a lot of pressure off Teague.
You know, we are going to do a prediction on the NHSA semifinals that we're going to cover Saturday. But what I will say is that, barring any of those games being moved to Thursday night, we will be at South Haven Lighthouse. That is the plan, because to give our thought process on that. Yes, in the past we've always covered both of the semifinals, but it's a different year. And just because of the situation we're going, this is the first year that we're going to be going down to cover the semifinals for the NHSA tournament, and that's because we're not doing the All-Star game. We've done at least last year we went from the All-Star game straight down to Panama City, and it was because of the scheduling and such. But our thought process on it, unless one of these games gets moved to Thursday, our goal is met to where every team in the playoffs has some broadcast coverage. And the only reason we were planning on going to Easel Harding Lighthouse was because that's the only other game going on in Tennessee that day that we could reasonably go to. The other games in Alabama, long distance and all that. I mean, we could have gone to Freedom and the Heat. It just didn't work out. But all of the teams will be covered because Franklin Christian has a broadcast team. So unless one of these games is moved to Thursday, we will be at South Haven Friday night, driving through the night to go to Panama City Beach and covering the national championship in its entirety.
Because we make it happen, boys.
That is true.
We make it happen.
So
I'll save it for later on during the shout-out portion.
So That is the plan. That is the plan. We'll be covering South Haven Lighthouse, and then we'll be driving through the night and headed straight down to Panama City Beach and covering the national championship games, which we'll get into the predictions for that in just a few moments. All right, James, you got the headset back on. Let's get into the semis. So the way they are setting this up this year is 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock on Saturday for the semi games, and then 12 o'clock for the consolation game, and 3 o'clock for the national.
They learned from last year.
Yeah,
that championship could go a little late.
Yeah, it can go a little late. So we'll start out with the noon game. The Ezekiel Academy Knights collide with the Southern Prep Rangers. And James, who follows a lot more of the 8-man teams, he can tell us a little bit more about Southern Prep and how they've done on the year. And in addition to who he thinks is going to win that semi.
They've been 5-5 on the season. They have some very good playmakers. They are a military school, so they're very organized. We got to see them last year. But they did play Ezekiel Academy early this year when Ezekiel's quarterback was out. It was a 20-18 game, very close. I love Southern Prep, and I like what they're doing. But Ezekiel is back. Their quarterback will be back for Florida, taking Ezekiel in this one.
Jack, you got any word on that one?
Ezekiel, end of story.
Zach?
I mean, I gotta go to Ezekiel too. Ezekiel's has been the best team we've seen, and I haven't seen enough film on Southern Prep yet. And like James, I trust James. So James said that they have a chance in this one if they're big playmakers. So
go on Facebook and you know the page. The game Ezekiel versus Southern Prep's on there.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that, and then I'm still taking Ezekiel though.
Fair enough. And the other semifinal game that's colliding, a rematch of the game that we covered early in the year, James and I covered. Evangel, the Lightning, collide with the Tennessee Heat. And with that rematch, it's one of those games that Coach Scott told us they could have very easily won that game. They could have easily come up with it and gotten the W if they had just gotten the job done in certain situations. And it's tough to beat a team twice. But when playing for a national championship with Evangel, defending their two-time national championship, there's something special about Tim Smith and company, especially with them missing the state championship for Alabama. They know what's at stake here.
Two great coaches that are top-notch, across the board. They update their stats on Max Preps. They've got things going on. The game did happen earlier this year. Heat lost. They also traveled 3 hours. That is not the case this year, despite Evangel having their quarterback back. Listen, I'm taking the Tennessee Heat in this one.
You're taking the Heat to advance
I'm taking
the
the
national
Heat.
championship.
Heat.
They'll oust.
Heat.
And you're saying Heat as well, producer?
No comment. Just Miami Heat.
Just Heat.
Not Miami. Oh my God. Tennessee Heat.
I mean, this is Tennessee Heat's chance to redeem themselves from earlier in the year, and I think they do it as well. I think I'm taking the Heat. But Evangel does have that extra motivation from not being in the Alabama championship.
And they are the defending national
champions. So, I mean, they have experience, but I'm still taking Heat.
It's a good thing this game is at 3. This one could be an overtime game.
It very much could be. That could be what some may think should be the national championship. But of course the setup there is going by seedings and all of that. So.
Not me.
But imagine if with your predictions, everybody's on the same page. Ezekiel and Heat.
I've been saying it since the beginning of the season. Or like 3 weeks into the season, 3 or 4 weeks into the season. That should be the national championship. We might get it.
Yeah, we might get that matchup, and if it's a rematch of Evangel and Ezekiel, I mean that'd be another.
And the reasoning for those games being that way, Ezekiel moved to number 1, having won their state championship. Tennessee Heat at number 3, Evangel at 2, and then Southern Prep is further down, but none of the other seeds are able to make the tournament, so Southern Prep is in. So you're going 1-4-2-3, hypothetically, and then winners move on. So that's the thinking behind that.
So we will be in Florida that weekend.
We're literally going to do a game in Springfield Friday night, and then
2 games in Florida Saturday.
18 hours later, just over 12 hours later, be in Florida.
Yep. We'll be covering another game from down
That trip is going to be powered by Bang.
Yeah, you're going to be a designated driver. It'll be powered by Bang for sure. So we will be live on
Do
next
what?
week's.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought you had something.
Next week's edition of Extreme Radio will be live from Panama City Beach. It's a good tradition we
Woohoo!
started last year, where we will be live, and hopefully, the plan is to have the national championship coaches and a player.
Let's
with
just have
us.
Hank.
Now we'll have. We already did an interview with Hank. We could have him as well.
That's true. And if you haven't listened to Spencer's interview with Hank that he was able to do,
Yeah.
it's up on our YouTube channel. Went live this last week, so go listen to that. He talks a little bit about the tournament and the status of 8-man in the South.
Yeah, it was a really good conversation. with
Really
him.
good conversation.
And we could get Hank on the show as well. But let's get a coach and a player
Fine.
from each of the national
Fine.
championship teams.
Fine.
Fine. We'll be live there for a second to last show of
You're
the
not
year.
in this.
We'll be live for our second to last show of the year, and concluding we're 14 days out from the end of the season officially.
Almost there, boys.
Yeah, we're in the home stretch.
Well,
So-
technically the season officially ends in Gatlinburg, but I
Well,
digress.
talking about at least the region. I mean, there's the All-American game, but we
That's
won't
true.
be doing any shows in between now and in between 2 weeks from now and the Gatlinburg.
we do have to get bowling, boys, because
Mhm.
plans have been made.
Happy birthday again to Jack Elwood.
Yes, thank you very much. So are we?
We're doing shout-outs.
Shall
Yep, we have shout-outs, James.
We honored a legend a few weeks ago that we lost, the OG James Bond. And today, gentlemen, I would like to have a moment of silence for another legend lost. Producer Jack, we're going to have a moment of silence of ourselves. And Producer Jack, if you would cue up the sound.
Rest in peace, Alex Trebek. He had that fight that started last year with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He fought
20
resiliently.
2020 just needs to.
Yeah,
Just
we're almost done.
big part of my childhood.
The Jeopardy as well for me. It was a big part as well, and
Especially as a homeschooler.
and all our thoughts and condolences go out to Alex Trebek's family and everybody during this time.
It's one of the only Canadians I like.
But there's nothing I could say. I could say that, but again.
So yes, wanna remember a legend.
Rest in peace. Who is Alex Trebek? All right. Well,
I
any
see what you did there.
any shout outs, Zachary?
Not really.
Shout out to Dallas for leading Pittsburgh.
Shout out to
Not
Dallas
for a long.
Gilbert for having more rushing yards than your running back.
All right. Well, as we mentioned, the semis are set for both the TSIAA and the national tournament, and
You didn't really set me up for success here, bud.
you should have had it loaded.
Whoa.
Wow.
Here.
Wow.
How about we do something just because of
It's his birthday,
our
and you're like
passing of our-
running and
Trace
gunning.
McSorley.
He buttered you up the whole show by continuously saying happy birthday so he could absolutely like body slam you for not having the outro ready.
We're going out on this
I
music
would
today.
know.
Do it.
We're going out on this.
Do it.
All right.
We're doing the extreme and outro on this.
That is going to do it for Extreme Radio, presented by GracePointe Healthcare. Request your new patient office visit fee online. $20 off if you're a new patient. And Jets Pizza of Springfield, Fort Campbell, Clarksville, and Goodlettsville. For James, Zachary, Alex Trebek, facetiously in studio, as well as Jack Elwick, I'm Spencer Thompson. We'll see you for South Haven and Lighthouse on Friday, and then the NHSA tournament this weekend.
See ya.